Alright, today we're going to fix the hole in the back of his head. I don't have any fancy TIG welding equipment, so I use oxyacetylene. I have to use a pretty hot flame to melt that bronze. I'm going to take him, put him down here, and this is the subject, putting the hole in his head. Zoom in a little bit there, see what we're working on. I took a piece of that sprue and I filed it down, cut it off, and stick that in there to start with. That'll fill up most of the gap, and then from there we can paint it over so it stays in there, and then we can melt it to fill the gap. I have the leftover sprue here. I'm going to hold it with vice grips because it gets really hot. I'll start heating that up. I'm holding the sprue close to the flame so it heats up as well. But when it comes time to melt it, it won't take as long. Let that cool down for a second. Got red hot, and it's a big bump on the back of his head now, but we can file that down. I could see down here underneath where it was glowing from the inside because he's so hot. And then all of the darkness we can take out. It'll brush off. But we got to be real careful on the part that we repaired, because I have had in the past where the sculpture doesn't get hot enough, the metal gets too hot, and then it doesn't adhere to it, and when you go to file that down, it just falls out. So we'll let it cool, let it collect. You don't want to quench it because that'll make everything brittle, so we'll just let it cool down, and we'll come back when that's cool. Alright, now that he's cooled down a little bit, we'll take off the high spots here with the cutoff wheel, and then I also have a grinding wheel instead of the cutoff wheel. Now we can move on to the proper bit. I think we're going to use this one. It is a teardrop shaped bit, carbide bit. Worked really good. And since it's teardrop shaped, it draws in most of these hairs. It's still really, really hot. And there it happened. So the piece is right there. Nothing stuck to the sculpture. So I'm going to pin it down. Try and get as much of it to stick as possible. That's hot. We'll have to heat him up again and add some more. Try and get that piece to stay. I'm going to use the other sprue as filler. Let's take a look at that, see what we got. That was a lot hotter the second time around. So if it stays in there, that's going to be a good fill. So the best thing we can do is let him cool down a little bit longer this time. We'll come back. Okay, so let's hit him with a wire wheel and see what we're looking at here. Let's use a little one for now. tips and tricks you want to share, that would be greatly appreciated. This is not working for me. Can still take the whole thing out. So I'm gonna have to try a different approach. So let me set something else up here. Alright, with a little bit of effort, I was able to heat him up again, add more sprue metal into it, and then smacked it with a hammer. And that squished the metal into it so it merged together. From there, I cleaned everything off and used the bit to draw in the hair and smooth everything out. So he's looking pretty good now. Got the hole fixed, and I'm going to do a once over on everything, and then the final step after we've cleaned everything off here is I'm going to cut the sprues off, because now he's about ready to get mounted to a plate. So I will once over everything, and then I'll bring it back on when we cut the sprues off, and then we'll clean up the tail end. Alright. Now to take the sprues off the bottom, best bet is to use the big boy grinder. And we'll just cut them off. I'll have to rotate them around to cut all of them off. I'm going to leave a little bit left over so I don't touch the sculpture, and then I can fade that back once they're all off. But aside from that, he's looking pretty good. Still a little warm from the welding, but he was able to shine up pretty good. So we'll cut off the sprues. There we go. So here's how much I left over. This is a first look at all the way inside him. I can see the little bits of investment that are left, and we're going to leave them. But I'll take these down, smooth out everything else, and then we'll be ready to put him on a plate. So now that I don't have a stand for him anymore, got to protect him with something that doesn't burn when it gets warm. And I'm going to set him up underneath the jaw there, and just barely tight enough that it holds on to him without squishing it too much. So that looks good. Keeps that out of the way. Now I can take the grinder and smooth these down a little bit. From there I can take the same carbide bit I've been using, and I'll finish him up, even though nobody's going to see this part because he's going to be sitting on a stand. I still want him to feel like he's complete. Their front view. Back view. And now the bottom. So from here, I'll have to clean the metal, and then we can move on to patina. But I'm going to find out from the client first what color patina they want, and also what stand do they want. I have a stand that I made. It is sand cast of a rock, and he would sit on it just like that. I could weld him to the rock and then do the patina on both. I can do separate patinas for the bear or the rock, but I need to find out from the client first which one they want, or if they want it on a wooden base. So he's almost ready, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned.